Welcome back to the Auction Brief, cutting through the narratives and the noise to bring you the best auction draft insight and strategy in the business. And now here's your host, Drew Davenport.
Thanks for joining me for episode 12, Grinding the Auction Draft Room, part 2. We talked about this in very general terms a couple episodes ago, but now I want to talk specifics. I'll never forget a book I read about 15 years ago by original No Limit Texas Hold'em tournament master TJ Cloutier. And he said that if he was playing well, at the end of a long poker session, he would be exhausted. Exhausted from the mental toughness and acuity it takes to pay attention to all the details going on at a poker table. I believe that this applies to an auction draft room as well. There are literally dozens of things that you can and should be paying attention to as you grind your way through any auction draft room. Check out part 6 of my Mastering the Auction Draft series on Football Guys for a discussion about how to read your league. But today, I wanted to highlight one thing in particular, and that's called the change in behavior. Let's take a look at the example of the guy sitting next to you in the draft room who's 5 or 6 beers deep and he's chatting and joking with his neighbor. And then Dalvin Cook comes up for nomination. He suddenly shuts up, puts his beer down, and picks up his roster sheet. At that point, you can bet he's calculating what he can pay for Cook to get him on his roster. I know, this sounds pretty simple, but what you have to understand is that this is learned behavior. You must train yourself to pick up on the myriad of tells that your opponents are giving off during the course of an auction. Once you do that, it becomes second nature. But the problem is, if you never train yourself to pick up on the first clue, you can't move to the second level of the analysis, which is, how do I exploit the tell that they just gave me? Tells are one of the best ways you can grind your way through an auction draft room. But keep in mind, none of the skills that we learned this summer on their own are going to win your auctions. Instead, you must layer them on each other to create a complete auction draft skill set for success.